what are your thoughts on Mike Huckabee?
He's a traitor. He must go to the court for treason. They pay for every politician, whether Democratic or Republican, in the APAC, and
Yep.
they pay them in order to vote benefits of Israel. They want to settle the southern of Lebanon. They want to settle Gaza. They want to take all the West Bank. Maybe after that you take more from Jordan, from Egypt. This is their ideas. I live in the West Bank,
The West Bank. Okay.
and it's designated as a separate state by the UN. Like it's now a observer state. It's called Palestine.
Okay.
So we are living under the Palestinian Authority, which control, I think, 10% of the Holy Land only, and the rest is controlled mainly by Israel. But it's like a very complicated issue. Like we have the Israel proper, the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and all this Oslo agreement and Area A, Area B, Area C. So it's very complicated to understand, but I will divide it in this way. You have the Israel proper, it's the state which all the world recognize. And you have the West Bank and Gaza, it is occupied by Israel under the international law, and it's designated as Palestinian land. So we are under occupation, military occupation, especially in the West Bank and Gaza. And in the agreement with the Palestinian Authority in 1994, they established three areas in the occupied territories. Area A, which is controlled fully by the Palestinian Authority. Area B, it's a joint control between the PA and Israel. Israel in the military control, and the PA in the civil control. And Area C, which is the majority of the West Bank, where most of the Israeli settlements are, is controlled all by Israel. So it's like a mess or a Swiss cheese.
Now, what is their justification for occupying all of these spaces? Is it after the October 7th attacks, they came in and they said, hey, we need to, occupy these spaces for our safety? Or what was kind of the reason they gave for doing this?
No, the first thing, the Zionist idea is established in Europe in the rise of the nationalist ideas. All like the Germans want a German state, the French want a French state. So Theodor Herzl, a Jewish man, wanted a Jewish state for the Jews because there were persecution in Europe. So he done a summit or committee and a big meeting, and he discussed where he want to build this state. He has several opinions, like Argentina in the Argentine, and in the Holy Land, Palestine, or in somewhere else in Africa. So, but because of the connection with the Jewish faith and Jewish heritage, they chose the Holy Land to build their state there. And they were helped by the British Empire to facilitate that. So they started immigrating the Jews to the back then it was under the Ottoman Empire. Before coming the British under the British Mandate of Palestine. So the first Jewish immigration became under the Ottoman, and they started taking lands from the local population. And from that time, the tension rises between the Palestinians and the Jews. And slowly, they became till 1948 like 40% or something from the population of all Palestine, the Jews. And they try to solve this problem. So uh, they went to the UN, and uh, try to solve this. So they suggested to do two states, an Arab state or Jewish state and Jewish state. The Jews, they accepted this view, and they declared their state Israel on their land. But the Palestinian population, they didn't accept that plan. But because of very important reason, because the Palestinians view it as our land. Why to give it to the Jews, firstly? And secondly, they own the majority of the land, the Palestinian. And in this proposal, they like giving the Jews the majority of the land. So that's why they refused that, and then became the civil war between the Jews and the Palestinians, and then established in the official state of Israel in 1948. And then the West Bank is not part of Israel back then. It was part of Jordan came in and took control, and the Gaza Strip, Egypt came in and took control of that area. So the West Bank became part of Jordan, and the Gaza became part of Egypt. And then in the 1967, there is another war which Israel controlled the West Bank, the Gaza, the Sinai from Egypt, and the Golan Heights from Syria. So now all the international community consider these new lands that are being occupied by Israel is under formal occupation, and they returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt um for a peace treaty. The Golan Heights they didn't return till now, and the West Bank and Gaza till now we are under occupation.
Gotcha. Well, that is a good little like history summary there, and I think it's important to learn how these things came about, right? And how exactly the situations come to fruition. How exactly has Christian Zionism, right? This idea that God's promise to Abraham in the old covenant is still relevant in the new covenant. How did that play a role in all this? Did it play a role early on? Was it mostly a political strategy early on to get the Jews back to the Holy Land? Like, what is the connection between Christian Zionism and the current state of Israel?
It play a role, a big role in it.
Right.
In the beginning, uh, the some of the British politicians had this idea of Christian Zionism. It is a new idea. It's not traditional. It's not in our faith. It's not in the Orthodox faith even.
Right.
It's not in any traditional church teaching. It's a new idea. So they started this idea, and it became like spread in the southern of the United States, I think, in the evangelical churches, and that helped very much the state of Israel continue to exist and to continue its expansion idea. So at the beginning of the Zionism, it wasn't a religious movement. It was a secular. All the first Zionists were Jewish atheists. They didn't believe anything. Then after that, all the support from the Christian Zionism helped them to really be more religious. The Jews now become more like this is our land, this is our promised land. There's no one to live on it, only the Jews. And all of this idea became from the Christian Zionism support, because the Christian Zionists are the majority of the Zionism idea. The Zionism, there is Jews, but the majority are Christian now,
Right.
and this is affect our life here directly in the Holy Land, because all the donations they came to the government of Israel because they believe to bring all the Jews to the Holy Land in order to come the second coming of Christ or the rapture. I don't know their ideology. So they are trying to bring the Jews as to accelerate the end times. I don't know from where they bring this new idea, but they have this.
Right, which is insane because the idea that, you'd want to bring the Antichrist into the world so Christ can come back faster is ridiculous. It's,
Yes.
it's insane, right? Speaking about Christians in the Holy Land, right? And this idea, and these different ideologies that are going on, how are Christians being treated in the Holy Land right now from your experience? Or what's is there persecution over in Israel? Like, kind of give the viewers an idea of how, what Christian life is like over in Israel.
So, in order to give you this view, I will classify the population we live here in the Holy Land. We have now, after the creation of the State of Israel, the people who live inside the Israel proper before the 1967, they have the full Israeli citizenship, including mostly Jews, 70 to 80%, and 20% there are Palestinians who remain despite the war. And 1% of them or 2% are Christians. So there are Palestinian Christians who have Israeli citizenship. They live like mainly a good life. There is not like a, a big discrimination against them, but they feel they are second class citizen because the Israel is officially a Jewish democracy, not democracy alone. So
Right.
they can't like be a prime minister, or they can't be like in the minister of defense, the Christians, because it's only for the Jews. It's a Jewish state, not only democratic. It's Jewish first. So, but
Mm.
fairly, they are living a good life. The center of the conflict is in the Jerusalem because all the religious Jews who spat on Christian clergy, Christian people, they discredit things. They increase their attacks after the 7th of October. So they are doing a lot of damage and intimidation to the population there in order to just get rid of all the Palestinians, Muslim, Christian, anyone. They want the city to be all the majority of it Jewish,
Hmm.
and they got like a great funding from the companies from the US to buy properties from the local population in order to be a Jewish one for themselves. Like if it cost like this property $10, they will pay you $100 to take it. So they pay you a lot of money in order to get properties to be Jewish and not Christian. And they are now trying to apply the taxation on the church properties in Israel for all the churches. And it's
Now, does that
against
apply to synagogues too, or just churches?
uh, I think no, it doesn't apply to the synagogues.
Gotcha. So it's literally just a tax on Christians, basically.
No,
Just
no,
a
no. The churches are uh, don't pay the tax for the church building.
gotcha.
But the
Okay,
church
I see what you're saying.
property, other things like houses, I don't know, like other properties, they must pay. But this
Gotcha.
from the Ottoman period, all the religious institutions, whether Jewish or Christian or Islamic, they didn't pay any tax on any of their properties, not only the place of worship, but all properties, and now they are wanting to tax them. So before
Wow.
like 3 years or more, I don't know, uh, all the church leaders closed the Holy Sepulchre Church in Jerusalem because they want to protest against uh, this decision, and now they are now negotiating with the government of Israel. Uh, the people, Palestinian Christian people who live in the Jerusalem, they don't have the citizenship, the Israeli citizenship. They have like Israeli residency card, not citizenship. So if they
Hmm.
leave for like 1 year, they lose their residency, and they no longer able to come back.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
and
Dang.
so this they can move all around. The first uh, Israeli Christians who have Israeli passport can travel to the West Bank, Israel, to anywhere they could. The Christians with the Israeli residency in the Jerusalem, they can go also wherever they want. But there is now the Christians in Gaza and the West Bank. We don't have the Israeli citizenship. We have the Palestinian citizenship and the Palestinian passport. So we can't travel to Jerusalem or to any part inside Israel without a military permit. So like I can't go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre without permit. And they give us only on limited times during the year for like a Christmas or Easter. And for the families in Gaza, they are living in much, much more after the war difficult situation.
Yep.
No food, no medicine, no anything. Like it's very, very, very difficult.
Yeah, and I guess my next question was going to be, so like, has this always been going on, or has it really ramped up after October 7th, or has this always like historically been an issue with discrimination against those living, in the West Bank and stuff like that?
So in the West Bank and Gaza, it was a difficult situation before October 7th. But after October 7th, they become like 100% more.
Mm,
The situation is worse because the Israeli settlers, they they live inside the West Bank. Despite being illegal, the government are trying to populate the West Bank, and especially in Area C, where it's controlled, which is the majority of the West Bank. So
right.
they are trying to buy more properties, or even not buy, just this land is not yours. It's a military zone. You can't get into it. Like in the recent attacks on the Taiba village in east, I think north or east in Ramallah city. It's the only full Christian village in the West Bank. Only Christians live there, and they are constantly attacked by the Jewish extremists and settlers in order to push them to go out to immigrate and to take their lands. And in their recent years, they confiscated most of the lands for the Christians, and they didn't allow them to go to harvest the olives in the olive season, for example. So they are like making like the life harder and harder to kill you slowly, not to kill you physically, kill you slowly as to just want to leave and immigrate and leave the place for them. This is their
Right.
tactics, and no one is like there's no uh, like there's no one to care about the Christians here.
Yeah.
and the Israeli government is supporting these groups directly and indirectly. They cover up on them, and they support them. And the IDF, the soldiers, they went to protect them, and they arrest the people who defend their lands. So they have like an evil standards. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like they control. Even if we are under the Palestinian Authority, they control every aspect of our life. They control our water, they control our electricity, they control our uh, goods, the imports, exports, everything. Even if I want to leave the West Bank, I must leave through an Israeli uh, border, you know.
Mm,
So we don't have like, it's like a mini self-determination authority for the Palestinian, but it's don't have this much authority on the ground, you know. So, for example, all the uh, Palestinian houses have tanks for water. Why? Because they didn't allow water to us 24 hours a day. They only give us like a limited amount of water. We need to fill the tanks in order to drink for all the week. And
mm,
despite that, nearby the settlement in Area C, it's like 5 kilometers away from Bethlehem. It has water 24/7,
yep.
uh, continuous access to water, and electricity. They can cut it anytime they want. And inside the West Bank, they have like mini checkpoints. I think around Bethlehem you have like 100 something checkpoint, and inside the West Bank is maybe 500 checkpoints or more. I don't know exactly, but it's like to control the movement. So if I want to go from Bethlehem to Ramallah, for example, it's only it's close to Jerusalem, so it must take no longer than 1 hour. But
Mm,
it took us 3 hours because all the checkpoints, all the obstacles they do to make life harder and harder. So this is their tactic to kill us slowly.
right. Well, and so, going back to, you're talking about the imports and exports earlier, right? There was a story that came out
Yes.
a while back that, they would drop off, they would do these like food drop offs, and basically the IDF would be sitting there waiting to eliminate a bunch of people that were going to get food and water and stuff. Have you seen that personally? Stuff like that happen where, you have like these food drop offs and stuff like that, and then, like the IDF will just go in and go crazy,
No, this has happened in Gaza
Or Gaza,
because
sorry. Yep.
Gaza, yes, not in the West Bank.
Gotcha.
But why they did this distribution site? Because they weren't allowing the aid trucks to enter. So they control all the borders to Gaza. They simply could just get the trucks in. They don't want. So I don't know what is the purpose of this distribution sites if they simply allow the trucks to go inside, and there were no one to be hungry, no one to be without medicine, no one to be without water. So I don't know. It's like they always lie. We want to eliminate Hamas. We don't want to give them the food,
Yep.
but it's in the reality it's all lying to just to make life unlivable in Gaza. Now it's unlivable there, and
Yep.
everyone want to leave uh, when the borders just open.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah, it
think the
is.
Christians there will leave. Like I don't think they will.
They will stay.
stay only a little bit. It's
Yeah.
less than before the war. The Christian population in Gaza were less than 1,000 Christian only.
Wow.
In the West Bank and Jerusalem, we are 50,000 Christian.
Wow. Okay.
Inside of Israel proper, with the local Christians and the Christians, foreigners, not local, not Palestinian,
Right.
we are 185,000 Christians. So if
Interesting.
you calculate that, we are like 1% of the population in this Holy Land, only Christians.
Wow. Now, does that include, is that all sorts of Christian denominations like Orthodox,
Yes,
Catholic,
yes,
Evangelical? Okay, gotcha.
yes.
Interesting.
It's
Yeah,
mainly Orthodox and Catholic. We don't have like Protestant denomination.
figured. Yeah, I think I saw maybe one time. I heard a story of there being like one evangelical church over there, maybe, but all of the churches that I've seen have, like you're saying, have either been, Catholic or Orthodox over in the Holy Land. Um, although I do want to go, I will say I do want to go visit the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. That does seem beautiful. It seems like a very
Yes.
beautiful church.
I
Um,
think it's best time to visit now.
is it okay? Well, explain that a little bit.
Yes.
So, what like, ha- what's kind of the situation going over there right now? Like, have things calmed down for the moment, or like what? Like, explain kind
N-
of.
Now, thank God, the situation has got much better because they
Nice.
like get the war with Iran, so they distracted themselves from Gaza and the West Bank. But
Gotcha. Okay.
uh, but in the reality, the tourists, all the tourists, are safe to come here. They come to the Israel by the airport to Ben Gurion Airport, and they can come to the West Bank. It's also safe. Gaza, nobody could go even before the war to
Yeah.
Gaza. It's complete blockade, But all the holy places you can visit, and now because of the war, all the tourists or the pilgrimages are like scared from the situation.
I mean,
But
that's me.
I
I was under
assure,
the impression that it
yeah,
was like a full on war zone over there.
yes,
You know.
but I assure you, no, this is safe time and the best time to visit because all the holy places are empty.
Oh yeah. Hey,
And
true. That's
yeah,
true.
yes, and because especially the cities who depend on the tourists are very much damaged from this lack of tourists because we have 2 years of COVID without tourists and 3 years of war. So 5 years without any income for this touristic industry. So
Shoot.
the economic situation isn't that good here.
Right.
So by coming, you will support us also.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's yeah. I never thought about it like that because, like I was just saying earlier, I was under the impression that it was just a full on war zone. But like you're saying now with the whole war in Iran, that makes sense. They're distracted. What are your thoughts on the war in Iran? Just to switch topics for a second, but like from your perspective, like what's kind of the sentiment over there?
I think Israel don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. This is the main goal of the war. It's not to change regime. It's not to free people. It's not to anything like good to the Iranian people, to do good to them. It's only because Israel want Iran without nuclear weapons because they were like 70% enrichment of the uranium. So they are very close to do a nuclear weapon. So I think the Israel dragged the US to this war, and the US don't have any realistic like advantage or achievement from this war, and they are the I think the loser in this war. No one win this war, but the US is the most one to lose this war because it cost billions of dollars without achieving anything.
Right.
So I think Israel is just using the US to their advantage.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And it really is sickening whenever you think about all the American lives that potentially be lost in this conflict. We don't know. Who knows how long it'll officially go on for. I know it's been over the past few months. It's been, oh, the war is over, and then, oh, the war is back, and, oh, the war is over, oh, the strait is open, and now the Strait of Hormuz is closed. It's so much information going on. It's like you don't even know kind of what's going on over there anymore. So it's just a crazy situation.
And they finish with Iran. They now are attacking Turkey.
Yeah, yeah.
So they can't finish with anything.
So how does this play in to the idea of Greater Israel? Because I've seen some reports that Israel is thinking about obviously Greater Israel expanding their territory. I've seen some pictures of, I don't know if this is photoshopped or not, but I've seen some pictures on X of the
No,
IDF
it's for real.
soldiers. It's real. Okay, so they have like the
Yes,
greater. You know what I'm talking about though, the badge,
yes,
Greater
yes.
Israel badge. Yeah.
From the Nile to the Euphrates.
Yes. So talk about that a little bit. What is, the Greater Israel idea, the Greater Israel project, and is that real? Is it? I mean, obviously it was on their badge, on their sleeve, so it's like it has to be. They're thinking about it.
Yes, actually, in the Bible, the it's the promised land was from the river to the river, but not from the Nile to the Euphrates. It's from a river near Sinai Peninsula to the river near like Lebanon. So it's like the same as the Holy Land nowadays.
Mm,
But they have this idea of they want from the Nile to the Euphrates to take control of all that region. Not all the Israeli think that like that, but the most religious and extremist ones, they think they want all the land for themselves because they believe that this is our promised land. We want this land for us, you know. But now all the this extremist population became a dominant in their political life inside of Israel, and now it's I think their government is the most right-wing extremist government in the history of all of Israel. Yes, so they are don't have like problem with that. They want to expand. They want to settle the southern of Lebanon. They want to settle Gaza. They want to take all the West Bank, and maybe after that you take more from Jordan, from Egypt. This is their ideas.
yeah. Wow. So it seems like they're going for it. It seems like they're in full swing, and that's kind of their main objective is to get that land and really expand their territory. That seems to be one of the main objectives, especially going after Iran, is they don't want any threats in the region, so they can have free reign to pretty much do whatever they want. Would you say that's
Yes,
accurate?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess kind of my next question is going to be, what is the general sentiment of the Israeli government? I know you alluded to it, that it's like the most right wing extremist government we've had, but you see some polls going out in Israel where it's like even 70% of Israelis are in favor of the war. Obviously, the sentiment's going to be different in the West Bank and Gaza and places like this. But kind of what is the general sentiment of the state of Israel? Bibi Netanyahu in general. Like what are people saying about this over there?
So the Israelis are with the war. They want to eliminate all their enemies. This
Right.
is obvious for them. But inside of the West Bank of Gaza, we don't want the war
Right.
because it ruined our lives. So, in order to get into perspective, like here, we can't vote for the in the Israeli elections. In the West Bank and Gaza, we can't vote because we are Palestinian citizens. So we
Mm,
can't vote. So, like the Israeli government control our lives without asking us, without representation from us. We can't vote. Only they vote who live inside of Israel, who has the citizenship only, not in
Mm,
the West Bank. And the Israeli settlers who live in the West Bank, who has the citizenship, despite being illegal, they they have the right to vote. To vote. So so they control us without asking us anything.
wow. Wow, that's it brings me back to, it's like the original the colonies, right? That's the reason why America was founded is because, they were taxing and there was no representation. Obviously the analogy is a little bit flawed, but you get what I'm getting at. It's like, they want to be able to, impose all this stuff on you but not give you any representation of the government, which is insane.
Yes.
Um how so is there any like end in sight to all this, I mean, especially that you all like can't vote, can't really have a say in the government, like is there any hopeful sentiments coming forward or that you see coming out of Israel right now that might put a stop to all this, or is it just kind of a lost cause at this point?
I don't know. There is a new elections in the Israeli government, and I hope for to the best and to for Netanyahu to lose and to bring the other parties. Maybe they will not be more better, much better, but it will be for sure better because it's very extremist government right now.
Hmm.
But I will add like the Israeli and Zionist lobby in the US play a major part on being open to all of that wars. So imagine Israel is opening seven front wars and their economy is rising. You can't do that without the US support. So their economy, their arms, their everything depends on the US, and they do that by simply buying politicians in the US. They pay for every politician, whether Democratic or Republican, in the APAC or other PACs,
Yep.
and they pay them in order to vote with the with the benefits of Israel. And despite sometimes it's not with the benefit of the US. So this is like I call for all the American people to like to wake up for this uh, like silent occupation or silent uh, oligarchy or from the politician. I think there must be like all the politician must not accept any money from anyone to be the fair elections in the US
Yeah.
and to be like Thomas Messi, he loses because the other opponent he was giving so much money from the Israel lobby to win. But if he couldn't just get the money, he will lose most 100%.
Yeah.
So I think the Christians in the US and especially the Catholics have the most power on earth they imagine, but they don't use it because of like I don't know brainwashing or ignorance or I don't know.
I think
So
laziness
if
is a big part of it too. I think people in the
yes,
US are just very comfortable, and with that, with that conformity, they just don't care about a lot of stuff, which is sad because I totally agree with what you're saying, it's like we have the ability to influence, we have the ability to get involved, in local government and state government, even sometimes in the federal government and try to change things. But if Christians don't get involved in this, then how can we expect to, put forward a nation that glorifies Christ, right?
yes. So I think without the US, our situation will not end.
Yep.
To be accurate, without your intervention, the situation will become worse and worse, and the Christians, especially in the West Bank, will immigrate more and more and more
Mm,
because of this situation.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we need to. I mean, that's a huge problem. Like, obviously, with money, foreign money getting in our elections, with outside influence getting in our elections. And I think it's clear whenever somebody like Ted Cruz, just straight goes on about how great Israel is. I don't know if you saw the interview with Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened. I guess it cut out there. But yeah, I don't know if. Okay, so we're back now. I don't know if you saw the interview with Tucker Carlson or Ted Cruz, but basically, Ted Cruz is going on and on and on about how much he loves Israel and how great it is and how APAC really isn't, foreign money, how it's actually money in the US. And it's so ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yes, I saw the interview, and he's like a very funny person.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. Or like, what are your thoughts on Mike Huckabee? What is the sentiment on Mike Huckabee over there, the U.S. ambassador to Israel? Because every time I see him on TV, he's always talking about how great Israel is and all this stuff.
He's a traitor. You
True,
must. He must be like be went go to the court for treason. I think
true, very true.
for the U.S. because he preferred the Israel on the U.S. interest, and he's like hardcore Christian Zionist.
Yep.
He went to the Taipei where the Christians are persecuted every day, and when they interview him, he said, "We don't know who did all this persecution or this fire or this damage. We don't
Mhm.
know. They don't know." So he uh, just want to support Israel and be on the uh, side of the Jewish people on despite being Christian. I don't know how is that possible.
Yeah, it's crazy. And if anything, this whole Christian Zionism seems to just be a straight out denial of Christ and what Christ did on the cross. Because if you hold to the
Yes,
theology that, the old covenants are still in effect, then you deny the new covenant. Paul makes that very clear to the Judaizers, right? It's like the law is of
yes,
no effect anymore. The old covenant is of no avail. It's the new covenant, it's the New Testament that brings forth life, brings forth, the Eucharist, brings forth baptism, these things that actually save you, that bring grace into a person's life. And to deny that, in any form, is to deny Jesus Christ himself, is to deny the gospel.
yes. I think the old covenant, all the promises, are fulfilled in Christ, and we are Christ's body. So we have all the promises. We didn't like cancel the old covenant. We just complete it with the new, with Jesus Christ, and we became no longer Jews or Gentiles, as Paul said.
Right.
So we are all one in Christ.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. And I think, if Christendom at large had this, remember this idea, that we all just are all one in Christ, right? And if we had that idea, I think it'd be easier to stick together and fight a lot of the evils that we see. It's like Christ prayed. I talked about this on the show the other night. Christ prayed specifically that, his body would be one, his one Holy
Yes,
Catholic Apostolic Church, his body would be one. And when his body is one, that's when the world becomes Christianized, right? I mean, you look at, the Middle Ages, for example, you look at the Catholic kingdoms, and I mean, they was united and it was beautiful. There was a lot of flourishing going on. So when we're one, it's great, but when we're divided, a house divided against itself cannot stand, as Christ also says.
yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, brother, thank you so much for coming on. Is there any sort of closing statements you have, or anything you want to tell the viewers? And anything I missed, maybe? Anything you want to bring up?
I will invite everyone to come and see, experience our living, and not just coming to the holy places, but come to the like we are the living stones here, to the Christians communities who are living in the Holy Land, to stay, for example, in Taipei, where they are persecuted every day, to experience our reality here, and to just go back to your country and change the views for what is happening here in order to bring peace and bring justice to this region.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you for inviting me
Yeah, of
again.
course. All right. God bless you, man. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
watching.
you.
Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. It was a great episode. Let people know what's going on over in the Holy Land, what's going on over in the West Bank, Gaza, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.